Good morning, everybody. Let's make sure I've got sound. Let me see. Okay. Because Facebook's being funky. Let me see. Do I have sound? Let's make sure I've got sound. Yep, I've got sound. Hello, everybody. Let me... Part of showing up as I am includes when my desk is not happy. But this is too important. I want to go ahead and talk to you guys. I hope everybody's doing great. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you. You're a new face. Welcome to the group. Hope you're doing fantabulous today. Is this good? I'm bending my little phone thing so I can have comments up in front of my face so I can still look in the camera. Let me see. I always turn it around so I can see it when I'm laying in bed. I hope everybody's having a great morning. Make sure I'm also in the shot. Okay. Let me also make sure I'm inviting people that I know always want to be invited. And people I feel could benefit from watching this today. I hope everybody has been doing fantastic. I know, in case you're new to the group, which, hello, if you are new to the group, it is really dark in here. Can I get some more light? No, apparently I can't have light today. I'm Rachel Arazo. Hello. We went through, I kind of rebranded a teensy bit this morning to kind of go with this new flow that I'm feeling right now. And you can see all the glare. Whatever, I'm showing up. It's not perfect. I don't care. And basically, with all the emotional stuff I've been going through right now, I haven't been feeling very creative. If you've been in this group for a good bit, or if you're brand new, you might notice that I've talked a lot about how I have a lot of stuff in this group that I have made. So if you're ever bored and wondering why in the world group owner has not popped in here lately to make new things and to do challenges and stuff, like all the other groups are doing, go check the units tab or the learning tab on your phone or in the group on the computer, and there's 3 years worth of stuff in there. Go look. That's how come I'm in a bit of a creative rut. But I've been inspired lately to do this series because I've been fed up with having to be silent and just be lovey-dovey about everything and its mom when it comes to being a spiritual business owner, when in reality it is not. The glare from this stupid thing, I can see it in my glasses. Can we, make this disappear, please? It's just this. This is just my face. Okay. Never mind. Whatever. So last time I had talked about toxic coaches, right? When it comes to being a spiritual business owner, because we feel like we want to be like we're alone. We have no clue what to do. We're trying to blend being in a spiritual niche or a metaphysical niche, or even if you aren't trying to start a business, you feel like you're alone in your path. We talked about coaches last time, in my experience with one very specific coach. Since then, literally an hour before I made that video public, I got cease and desist orders from a couple of different people. Beautiful, right? I'm trying to think about what else would happen. More people left. Yeah, and things have just really gone funky. So today, because of some stuff that's happened lately also, which this one, there's too many people, because this is going to cover multiple situations, because I'm going to be talking about clients, referrals, reviews, things that are really important as somebody who works in a spiritual niche and who wants to start a business in the spiritual niche. They're really, really important. So I'm going to be covering everything that I've ever done as a business owner, from the psychic hotlines to fairs, teaching classes in person and online. Oh my God. And I'm going to be covering a whole lot of stuff. So names won't be mentioned here because there's way too many people. However, again, I just want to reiterate, I'll reiterate this at the beginning of every single thing. This is just to share my experience, to give you a perspective of my experience so far as somebody who's been working since 2014 in this business as a professional reader and then moved on to coach, which I don't even like that word anymore. We'll see if I shift that. It's just giving my honest experience. I'll give you any research that I've done on my side, throughout all the things that I've worked on. I'll give you my personal experience and things that are my personal opinion. And if I have facts to back them up, I will totally back them up. This is a forum for, if you join me live, more than welcome to ask questions. Give me your feedback. If you don't like what I'm saying, tell me and let's have a conversation about it. Because I'm really big on that. Let's just have a conversation, especially when it comes to clients. That seems the biggest thing that's an issue right now, is no one ever wants to talk. And I'm purely inspired to do this to give my honest opinion as somebody who is a spiritual business owner, who is the sole income for their household, which, quick warning, my toddler, her solar plexus is ridiculous. And I guess developing beautifully, but she's literally been tearing things up all week. So if you hear banging and random screaming and stuff flying off the wall, literally, like over there, next wall next to me, it's her. I'll deal with the aftermath when I'm done with this. Also, a couple of times I may stop this week. I mentioned in the last video that the coach that I was working with, she had helped me through my cancer scare. I had more thyroid testing done this past week, because I have a nodule on my thyroid. And I had to go in for more testing to make sure it hasn't gotten bigger, because my pregnancy, thyroid levels can raise. So a couple of my clients know this. I've reached out to you personally because we talk so much, and I wanted to let you know. But if you see me stopping every once in a while, especially to drink my water, that's why. And it's already starting to mess with me. So giving you a warning on that too, in case my throat starts messing with me. I might cry, I might cuss, but there's not going to be any bullshit. Just giving that warning. You can also read the warning in the description wherever you're watching this. And you don't need to give me sympathy in the slightest. This is purely just so you know my experience and things that you can avoid should you want to move into a business, or things to be aware of with your current business, or you as a client seeing it from a coach's perspective. Okay. Let me know if that makes sense. And then we can get started. I'm going to get water before I go into this. Oh, okay. So, clients. For background's sake, I'm going to repeat this a billion times because we get new people in here. Some people leave, some people forget. And Facebook's algorithm is funky right now where you might not have seen the original video. So for how I like to describe what it's like working in a spiritual niche, okay? What it's like to be a spiritual business owner. Thank you, Jennifer. She said, I like you being real. I appreciate that. That's my personal challenge. I'm just going to show up even if my hair's not fabulous and I have bills on my desk and my flowers are dying, and I'm just going to show up as I am. And I encourage you to do the same in whatever you choose to do. The best way that I can describe being in the metaphysical niche, spiritual entrepreneur, even if you are not in a business, because it's the same kind of discrepancy. Let me turn this up. Are you able to see me very well? The lighting's kind of fucked. Nope, that made it darker. Whatever. Is because I got my degree in theater. And the part of the program that we were in is we had to do training of all kinds. We had to do a work study to go along with our degree because it was a general theatrical degree. All of our classes, some of them were required, like no matter what you decided to go into, you had to take business of theater. So you had to see realistically your chances of income and the kind of auditions and typecasting and stuff like that from a business perspective, not necessarily you as an actor perspective. We had to do mock interviews for if we were submitting plays as a playwright or a director, submitting directing concepts and how to build them and stuff. So I've done every single section of theater: professional, amateur, as in non-paid, and as a student. And the best way that I can describe being in the spiritual niche of any kind, whether you're a client, a coach, and in between, is it's exactly like being in theater. Never in the sense of it being fake, okay? Because even actors, they're not being fake. They're literally taking a piece of writing and making it life, because that's what theater is based off of, is real life, real emotions, and real instances, right? So it's never quote unquote fake in that sense. I'm not calling psychics actors. I'm saying more in the sense of you are the product, which sounds like prostitution, I know. But honestly, actors were compared to prostitutes, and honestly, psychics, they get lumped into that same category. Because it's you showing up as you are. And if someone does not like the product, aka you, there's not much you can do to shift that. Okay? You just have to keep trying until the right person likes you, or the right person gives you a chance. And for an actor, or any of the sections of theater that you have to go into, it's completely different than getting a regular job. Okay, when I say regular job, that means you go fill out an application, whether that's in person or online. You show up, or you give them a call and you say, hey, did you get my application? You come in for an interview, an interviewer for, okay, because I've been in some situations where it's been interviews back to back to back to back that day. Or they do cattle calls where they just say, show up, do your interview on the spot, and we will let you know if you're hired. I've done those. It's different than that because you're always in a room with at least one person, right? I have not been in a situation personally where I have been interviewed in front of everybody else who was up for the job. Okay. However, as a psychic, as a tarot card reader, as a Reiki healer, anything spiritual, anything in acting, it's literally like that. As an actor, it's fabulous if you can show up and just be you in the space, because you need to memorize whatever kind of piece that they want you to memorize. Usually it's a monologue, where you're talking by yourself. That's a monologue, in case you don't know. For 2-3 minutes. Sometimes it's 2 monologues, and you are capped at 2 or 3 minutes. Go in, introduce yourself with a neutral body. You have to learn your body positions. Then get into a character for 1 monologue, get out of it, get into another character for another monologue, get out of it, say thank you, and leave. Or stay if the director who's watching you, or the casting director, or whoever it is, wants you to do something. Right? Sometimes there's more than one person watching you. Okay? And sometimes they don't say anything at all. But that's what it's like for an actor. A director, very similar. You might have 5 different people interviewing you while you're trying to explain a directing concept. This week I talked about a directing concept I have because I had funky things happening with Sakmet this past week. And she's still in my brain. I can feel her. She's like right there. It's the same thing. Lighting director, sound designer, props master. Those, an actor does need a resume of shows that they've been in and actors they've been in, and roles that they've done, as well as any additional skills like languages or juggling or dancing and things like that. Directors and all the other background people that don't get a lot of credit for the shows, except for the director. Director gets credit. But like stage managers and all the people who are behind the scenes, they have kind of a standard resume. But they still show up in the interview as at least more than one person. Actors, I've been in a cattle call audition where literally 80 people are in one room and you need to do your stuff right there. You might have a cold call, like a cold read, where they just hand you a piece of paper with some text on it, and they say, you have 2 seconds to read that and then act it for us. I've done that. That's nerve-wracking as hell, especially if you don't know the piece. And you've had to do it in front of 80 people and then sing also in front of 80 people, as well as 10 people that are up there deciding whether or not they want you to be in the show. That kind of pressure where you are the product and you need to get this done correctly the first time. And you even have the opportunity to watch other people go before you, because it's so tense in that room with other actors waiting before an audition. It's so quiet, not just so it's not disturbing the person who's auditioning, but everybody is so focused. It's almost like an intense ritual state, because everybody is almost meditative, going over their lines, walking around, trying to get the butterflies out of their stomach, going to the bathroom for the 15th time, waiting in that hallway for them to call you in, waiting for the stage manager to come introduce you, and then you have one shot, you fuck it up. And that kind of energy, that tense kind of energy, is the exact same thing. It's the exact same kind of emotion being anybody spiritual. It's that tension that you feel before you are comfortable telling your parents or your partner or your friends or your children or anybody close to you that you're a witch, or that you're a psychic, or that you're thinking that you're experiencing something spiritual and you're afraid they're going to lock you in the loony bin, and think that you're nuts, when in reality you aren't. But because it's that stigma of you receiving information from other places, and that's different than mainstream religion and mainstream spirituality, it puts this extra pressure where you're going in for an audition, and if you don't say the right thing, it's all going to go crumbling down. It's that same kind of pressure of being a psychic at a fair, and you sitting at that table, the look on your face, the energy of your tent or your booth, your body position, if you're smiling or not, is going to impact who comes up to you. And if you are in a good mood for any reason, or if there's even the slightest thing wrong, it's like you're a chunk of hematite, and instead of repelling just negativity, you're repelling everything and its mom. Not even, it's like you're a loaded dirty diaper and no one wants to come near you. It's that same kind of pressure of just creating a program that you really, really love and putting it out there and being like, I really love this. I know it's going to help you heal X, Y, and Z. And I know it's going to be amazing. You're going to have such awesome transformations. And then nobody comes. Or they show up and they ask questions and they say, yeah, I'm going to buy it. And then they disappear. No matter how many times you reach out and you're like, hey, is everything okay? I just want to make sure you as a person are doing good. And they ignore you like you have leprosy, right? It's that same kind of tense energy where it's like you're constantly auditioning. And because of that tension, that fear of I'm gonna fuck this up, so many so many psychics and energy workers stay really, really close, like close mouthed about the kind of stuff that they're going through, about the technical side of what it means to be a business owner and how much you rely on clients. We hear that they rely on clients, right? That numbers are important, but it doesn't become that real until you do it or until you hear from somebody how it's impacted them. And there are a variety of ways that this has impacted me that I want to share with you guys because I find that it's so important. And I hope you'll be able to take some kind of stuff away from that. So, does that make sense? What I was talking about when it came to comparing that kind of energy of being on audition as an actor to constantly being in that state as a psychic, or being a high priestess and trying to fill up your programs or anything like that. Does all of that make sense? Give me hearts and likes if it does, or you can comment even and let me know. Yes, for sure. Cool. I'm glad it does. If it doesn't, I will reiterate it a billion times. Feel free to go ahead and ask me. Okay. So, I want to give a comparison again, not in such a metaphorical way, but in a numbers way. Because I know a lot of the psychics that I know, some of them are full-time like I am. Some of them, they just do that for a living. Some of them are metaphysical owners, coaches. They sell physical products, whatever it is, for a living. And that's awesome. Y'all are some type of crazy just like I am. But you're awesome. But for those that are still going to 9-to-5 jobs and have not left to become full-time, whatever spiritual thing you want to be in the spiritual niche, you know what I'm talking about here. If you haven't thought of this before, I'll go ahead and mention this. So, the kind of jobs that I used to take before going into this niche were mainly customer service. I'm very good at customer service. It's the projector in me. It's the double Taurus in me where I'm just like, let's nurture everybody. Even if I am physically not feeling good, I can still put forth the best that I can for a customer, no matter what kind of job I'm in. I can get a job very quickly in customer service because I just know how to do it. I literally got a job in 2 hours one time, and I'm like, I need money. I can manifest very easily for customer service. But the issue, well, not really issue. We all know we live in the world today. We're all modern people, okay, for the most part. We have to deal with paying bills. If you have a job, you know that you have a certain money per hour that you make, right? Here in Colorado, the last time that I was working in our workforce now, it was $10 an hour. It has since moved up, I believe, to $12 an hour for Colorado here in the United States. Other states, it's different. But I could make $10 an hour just fine. That's a 40-hour week job. So that's at least, if I'm working, yeah, that's that's $400 a week. Every week, that's $1,600 a month. About, yeah. That will take care of basic necessities. My rent is $1,100. They raised it again. It's going to go up again in July. So it'll be close to $1,200. And that's for a 3-bedroom. We just finally got qualified to go into a 3-bedroom apartment. That's still needing to take care of not a car payment, because we pay for our car every time we need a new one. We wait until tax refunds come in and we pay for a car in full with whatever we get for a tax refund. So I don't have to worry about that, but I have to worry about insurance, which for me is between $97 and $120. Which doesn't leave much left over for other bills and things like that, and clothes and stuff. So no matter what job I've ever worked, $10 an hour, I've always needed food stamps. I've always needed, I made too much for income assistance, like TANF. I've always made too much for that, except for one point in my life. We needed to get it. But I've always at least had $200 in food money for the month with government help, which I am very appreciative of. And then when I was pregnant last time and pregnant again this time, I was on WIC, Women, Infant, Children, because they helped me be able to get milk and eggs and basic stuff. No meat. It doesn't cover meat. But basic food stuff for the house because I have to eat more. And then while I'm breastfeeding and while baby is growing, they'll provide baby food and food as long as I am breastfeeding, but it will slowly go down for me and increase for baby until they're 2 years old. As a look into normal finances for what it was for me working a regular job. This includes anytime that I worked at actual call centers, because I used to work at actual call centers. I have no problem with talking to people on the phone, because thank you for calling Barnes & Noble. Thank you for calling your Visa Black Card. I'm used to doing that. And then same thing for some online shopping retailers. I used to work there. All kinds of different places that I've done. Even in person, I've done fast food. I worked in hotels. I was a house cleaner for hotels. Those are paid by the room, though. They're assuming that you are getting 2 rooms done in an hour. And that's not cleaning very thoroughly for the rooms. I'm sorry. Like, it rushes you. But no matter what, it was usually about $10 an hour. But I got my stuff taken care of, right? That was enough income for me for the summer as a student. That was good for me. However, after getting married and having my daughter, that income was not enough, because then you got to take into account maybe $30 to $60 of diapers every month, food for child, clothes that are running out. If your toddler is wrecking the freaking house like mine is right now, I don't know what. Replacing things, like I have to replace the blinds. Yesterday she ripped down the blinds and she broke them, and that's our deposit. Not to mention, a lot of places to live, they want you to make 2 or 3 times the rent. So $1,600 is not going to work. Especially since there are sometimes things with jobs that are out of your control. So the final straw for me for finally leaving my customer service job, I was at home, like I wanted to be with my daughter, because when she was born, I had 2 weeks postpartum, which my mothers will understand why that's shit. If you have not had a child yet and you don't completely understand that kind of thing, I'm not demeaning you in any way, but I'm saying the way that it takes your body at least a month, sometimes 2 months, to stop bleeding from having a child. Okay, because you have the biggest period of your life, while trying to take care of a kid, and get breastfeeding down and stuff like that. I had to go back to school and back to work 2 weeks postpartum, because otherwise they weren't going to let me graduate. So I was in class in Depends, just to put it very bluntly. I was bleeding the whole time. I was doing 4th degree tears, which, if you don't know what that means, graphic, I warned you. No bullshit, I'm going to be very honest with you. You're ripped straight through. From where baby's supposed to come out to where baby is not supposed to come out. I ripped clean through, because they had to use the forceps and the vacuum on me, because that's a very long story. Birth trauma, it's beautiful. So I take care of that at the same time, dealing with stitches, having an oversupply that then dwindled to barely anything because of bad doctor advice with birth control. It was a lot of stuff while trying to work. And during that time, I was like, screw this. I need to get more serious about my business, because I had started my business in 2014. My daughter was born in 2016, and it was more of a hobby for those 2 years. I was in a small town. I tried, the first time I encountered taro, there in my college student union building, there was this man. I don't know his name. I hardly remember his face, but I remember he used to show up in a wizard outfit. Like he purposely made himself look like Gandalf. And he showed up with the cat Taro. Um or all the cats were like different kinds of royalty and stuff, and he would do Celtic crosses. Now I know it was a Celtic cross. At the time I didn't know what it was. In for free in front of the main entrance to the student union during lunch. That was the first time I ever had a tarot card reading. And then a couple months later, my roommate chucked a deck at my face and said, "I don't want it anymore." And I still have it. And it doesn't like me because I'm not her. But I treat it as a hobby. I tried sitting in the student union like I saw him do. No one ever came by. I tried doing practice readings for people. The only person who let me practice on them was my husband. Now husband. At the time, he was just my boyfriend. I was on Tumblr doing practice readings, but it was very hobbyish. And after Lily was born, I was like, I need something else. Because I had to pull all-nighters for my finals, which meant stopping every few hours to nurse Lily. I could see her and my husband sleeping in the bed, literally in the next room, and it pained me because I just wanted to go to sleep. First time I ever did an all-nighter. Never do it. as a new mother, never do an all-nighter. Because I had to build a set for set design. And it was a beautiful set. It was based off of Vivaldi's Winter, the choral piece. Come close to me. We did it in choir. And I'm like, I love this song. So I'm going to do a winter-based set. And I literally sat there and I crocheted a Christmas tree that night. And I made the set and it looked really good. But I was up all night finishing it for finals. Oh my God. And I was exhausted. And I'm like, I can't do this again. I was not in my shows anymore. The last show I was ever in, I was 7 months pregnant with Lily. So she was in it with me. I wasn't able to be in my theater anymore because I put her as important. It wasn't anything, like I wasn't allowed to, but I had an example of somebody, a couple people that were students with me that had children that whenever they were in a show, their kids were on the back shelf. And this was a couple different people. And I didn't want to be that mom because I had wanted to be a mom for so long. So I started doing everything I could. I opened an Etsy shop for doing my readings. I studied the fuck out of SEO. That's how I got my first coach that I talked about last time in the previous episode. I ran a blog, the original modronlotusgarden.weebly.com. You can still find it. It just redirects you to the new websites. I blogged on there 2-3 times a week, every week. I started my first little newsletter. I had 2 people on it, and they sent me feedback every time. They'd request certain blog posts, and I'm like, yes, people, I'll happily do it. Like, whatever the hell that you want. I wasn't even charging for much at that point. Just wanting readings. And my first reading was $11. And I sent her a 10-page freaking thing of any other possible questions she might have. I covered every base. So, but that was my first leap into having a business and being a professional psychic. I was a professional. I got paid. And so began the journey. I tried balancing my business and still being in customer service, having a job, because I knew that my income from the business by itself was not going to sustain us. So I tried balancing both, and there will be a point in your life, if you are aspiring to be a business owner, and you are trying to do it, but you're worried about taking that leap. There's going to be a point with you, and this is even with anybody else that has a job that they don't 100% love. where the stupidest things are going to start happening to get you out of that job. Your body might start breaking down. Your technology might not start working, because I worked from home with that last job. My computer refused to connect to the system that it was on. It wasn't even my computer. It was the company's computer that they sent me. I was on phone with customer service for the company and with my internet for 3 months. And neither of them wanted to take responsibility. I know so much about coding and IP points now, and all the different signals that have to be done on your freaking computer now, because of how long I had to sit there on the phone with these people. It was stupid. And it got to a certain point where I had to message my manager because I wasn't getting paid. I couldn't log on to do calls. And even the times that I could, I would get people that needed a reading, but I couldn't give them a reading because I was not doing my business. This was somebody else's business, and I could totally get fired for pulling out tarot cards on the phone. I kept getting all these signs, and I just told my manager, like, I could make money elsewhere and pay my bills more with all the hours I sit here trying to make this computer work. It's incredibly frustrating. And he understood. He said, anytime you want to come back, you absolutely can, because this was not your fault. This was a technical thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I launched myself into being a full-time business owner. So I was pissed at that point. I'm like, screw this. This is my only option. And it still is. It's my only option. I'm only going to do this. Because as much as my family drives me crazy, I want to be home with them. And I don't want 2 weeks postpartum next time. I would rather be laying in my bed with my baby as long as they want to, and actually be successful at breastfeeding. And have my little one literally here with me. You're going to get a lot of baby videos after November because he's going to be with me. So it's like, I would rather be doing that than a full-time job. But that's what launched me into this. And I got firsthand experience with what it's like to work with clients for the first time and how much you depend on clients. And none of this is, I'm going to also purposely not mention names because I'm not going to guilt trip my clients. I love all of you. But it creates a special relationship with the people you work with, not just as you being a client and having a coach, but the other way around. And when you're brand new, there's some things you got to watch out for. So to run down the list, first off, I'm going to talk about the hotlines. I've been on the hotlines since 2017. If you don't know what the hotlines are, usually there's a website, there's a plethora of them. The psychic hotlines are fabulous. If you know how to use them. You create an account, you make your own listing, you have to essentially be like an actor and say the kind of skills that you have. It's almost like an online resume. It's better if you have a picture of yourself. And it's like you are promoting yourself. You can be on more than one hotline at a time. And there are some that are better than others. The first one that I was on ever, because they did not require any previous experience, they just wanted people. All of the payments went directly through me. Usually a hotline will pay you every few weeks or every month once you hit a certain money amount. This one, which if you've worked this hotline, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to avoid names. The payments went directly to your PayPal. You dealt with it. So if a client charged you back or tried to say that you didn't deliver services, it would go immediately to your PayPal and it would be on you. The company would not take care of it. This hotline company, okay, cool. I will answer you in a second. this hotline company had a forum for their customers to be on and would not moderate the forum. So the clients that were coming on actively taught each other how to scam the psychics so you could get more answers, especially the new ones. The system was not very good. It's not a very good hotline. You had to download a special software on your computer. Every day it tells me to update it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna delete you at this point because I haven't been on you in over a year. It's very rough. So the clients in that kind of hotline were not good for a first-time online psychic. However, it taught you how to have a backbone very quickly when it comes to some things. Because on the hotlines, reviews, when people give you a review, 0 to 5 stars, it teaches you not to give a fuck about what they say. It teaches you that when you see somebody slandering you on a review, to report it to the company and not keep it on there. If someone tries to charge me a chargeback, because that happened at the very beginning of my business, if people try to do that now, it's like, no, I've been prepared for this for years. And never in a negative way, but it's like, it's not anything special, because there are some clients who will try to use that because they know how much, especially if they know you're the only income for your house, like I am openly about, if they know how much you depend on your clients and they're in your programs and they know how many people are in there, they will try to use that. If you have some toxic clients, if you're prepared about that ahead of time as a coach or a reader or anybody in between, it's going to not hit you so hard. You know how to give proof of services to PayPal or whatever payment processor that you use. I automatically save everything now as proof of delivery of services. I have for years because of this. Which that's lesson 1. Always keep a record of everything, whether that is a separate USB, you get Google Drive or Dropbox and you keep records of all your clients in there, all the things that you have sent them. If you have a special folder on your email for video replays that you save all of them to, so if they say they never got it, there you go. You keep proof of stuff like that. Okay. That'll save you in the long run. And then when it comes to hotlines, if you are on a particular hotline where you have to take care of things yourself and you get a charge back, you have the ability on your account to go in and go look at the chat log, and you can save that and send it to whatever payment processor you have. They don't care about what you talk about. They care that you delivered the services. And it's also a proof of how that client talks to you. If they threaten you with doing a chargeback, it doesn't work. It won't work out on their end, no matter how many times they try to do a chargeback. There are some that will try to get away with it, but that's one way to really protect yourself. It also helps from the get-go to have a privacy policy in place or a terms and conditions in place. In the beginning, it was a very simple one for me. No refunds because these are digital services and I can't give back time, and I can't give back energy. I do not guarantee you're going to hear exactly what you want to hear. Every reading is different. Timelines are not set in stone. We're not talking about the lottery or death or anything that could get me in legal trouble, stuff like that. If you have that in place, you're good. And if you don't have that in place right now, make a little Word document, and every time someone gets a reading from you, free or not, just send them the PDF of it and be like, these are my terms and conditions. It's up to them if they read it or not, but they can't say that you didn't send it. Tip for you. Hotlines also teach you how to work quickly. Customer service, when I used to work online for customer service and talk on the phone, it was one person at a time, right? However, if you work in-person customer service, like fast food or catering, that was my first job. or anything like that, you are sometimes working with multiple people at a time, multiple things at a time. So you get good at juggling things, and your memory gets good at remembering multiple things. There are some hotlines that'll let you talk to more than one person at a time. At the height when I was on the hotlines and I was making my rent every month, my portion of the rent every month, which was $600 to $800, I was a few times after I left my last job, I had 4 different hotline chats open online from a certain period of time. And a couple of them, I had 3 different people talking on one. So if I had one window, one of them would have 3 people, one would have another, boom, 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 and my brain would be everywhere. And I'd be able to handle it from tarot apps are fabulous. Use a tarot reading app. It's just as valid. It's still energy work. You're still shuffling. Multiple tarot decks, or using the right tarot deck. Personally, for me, I've just started getting back into using tarot on the hotlines, but I've been using Lenormand more because I find that for me, it's easier for timelines when people want timelines. That's my hotline deck, is when I'm using Lenormand. And when it comes to just clients on the hotlines, it's about giving a fuck, okay? It's about caring about them. Anything about being in a spiritual business, you need to actually care about people. If this is an option for you and you're just like, this is a quick way to make money, it's not a fast way to make money, especially if you don't care about the person on the other line. Because people will remember you, and people will remember what you say. I take extensive notes on each person, so I remember exactly who they are, what cards I pulled, stuff like that. Even when I was doing Etsy for readings, every reading I ever gave, I still have. I included pictures of the cards. I explained each card individually. And if they ever talked about, hey, in our last reading, we talked about X, Y, and Z, I'm like, damn it, I've talked to a billion people. I don't remember. I can pull up their reading and I can remember what I said. It helps me remember I do care about this person because we talked about some really intimate stuff. Because the hotlines, especially if a person is new, think about it this way. Because some people get mad with the hotlines that make you give free minutes and stuff like that. First, think about it this way. There are going to be some people who try to take advantage of that. I've had the people sit there and pretend to be somebody else and be like, haha, you're not real because you didn't tap into me. You tapped into my sister-in-law. Haha, you're a fake. I've had those people and it pisses you off. And I tell them honestly, it's like, so I'm just going to go heckle you at your job now. Thanks so much. Or, you know what? I don't appreciate you doing that because this is my daughter's pamper money right now that you're messing with. So if you would like a reading, cool, I'll give you one. Otherwise, please hop off so I can talk to the next person. It's been fun. But when it comes to, there are going to be some people who try to take advantage of it, but also think about it this way. That's 10% of the people on the line, okay? Maybe even lower. Majority of people go on there, sometimes brand new. They've never talked to a psychic before. And they only think that they can ask love or money questions. They don't know that they can ask spiritual questions and stuff. They don't know that there's more out there for them than just those things. And it takes a lot of bravery to hop on a psychic hotline and tell somebody that you think your partner's cheating on you, or that you feel like you're going to be alone for the rest of your life. Things like that. Things that usually would go to a crisis health line. Which, if anybody ever mentions suicide or mental issues and stuff like that, a hotline will ding you. They will take you off if you don't refer them off. Same thing with self-harm and things like that. You need to immediately suggest they go to a crisis line. But they were brave enough to hop on the phone or the chat on their phone or something to talk to you. They picked you. Something about you and your energy called out to them. So having that kind of patience and really being like, thank you so much for choosing to talk to me. It's so much better than, okay, what the hell do you want? You know, it gives a different kind of vibe, you know? So I try to extend it, even if it's news I don't want to tell them. Tell them, I know this isn't what you want to hear, but this is what I'm honestly picking up. Things can always change. Are you okay? And people, majority of the time, will come back to me and not even give me a negative review because I ask if they're okay. I give a shit. Okay. I try to have a conversation with them because I give them a lot of information, as you find out from my lives here in this group. I'll give you a lot of stuff immediately. I ask them, do you understand what I just said, or do I need to rephrase? Or I make it interactive. I'll ask palmistry questions and have them look at their hands for me. Even if they have photos on there, like some hotlines will let people send you photos, like, hell yeah. Send me a photo and I will give you a full palm reading on there, and it's boo, 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 and it'll be so much easier. But because you care, and your own kind of you as a person, you are going to care in a very individual kind of way. That's what's going to help you build a living off of the hotlines. Okay. It's very possible, like I said, for months while I was trying to make courses and figure out what I wanted to do for my business, I was on 4 hotlines at the same time every single day. And that did not mean that I was just sitting there twiddling my thumbs waiting for hotlines to happen. I was watching a movie, or I was working on my Etsy shop, or I was doing something. If I had to hop on for a live stream or a challenge for you guys, I was off of the hotline so no one would call me, but then I'd go back on. I used to make, even just on one hotline, $600, $800 a month, sitting there for 3 hours waiting for my child to fall asleep. Because we used to have to lay in the dark because we shared a room with Lily. She couldn't have any stimulation in her room. I had to lay on my bed and wait for her to fall asleep. I'd be on the hotlines the whole time on my phone, and I'd make some money. And after I hit my quota for the day, I'd hop off. If it went by 3 hours and no one called me, I hopped off because that was my hours. Like, I'm not going to sit here all night and do this. And that builds consistency of showing up as well, because some people don't consistently show up and people don't know when you're on. So hotlines, you can make it work. There's just some stuff you got to keep in mind to protect yourself from negative experiences and what to do in case those things happen. There are some hotlines as well. If you are researching or if you have experienced this, that there can be creepers on the hotline. And when I say that, men and women, I've had mostly guys, but men and women who will get sexual on the lines. I remember on that first hotline that I was a part of that wasn't very good, I had a guy spend over $100, almost $200, because he wanted to know about every woman in his life who has ever seen him naked and what they thought of his size, and if they ever want to do anything with him, even if he never showed any interest, if it was a professional setting because he was a model and had to be nude sometimes. He wanted to know. My cards hated me because they're like, he's a prick, I don't like him. But I made some money that night. I made my rent money that night. If you are willing to do that, cool. If you have a boundary with that, you can say, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable doing this. And he gave me a glowing review. So you will get some people like that. There are video hotlines where you have to show your face the whole time. And you have the potential to get creepers on your hotline that'll flash you or ask you to do inappropriate things. And if you refuse, they will try to take it out on anybody else who's waiting for a reading. It's completely up to you if you want to be on those kinds of hotlines. You can make it work. You can tell them off, which is what I usually do. I'm like, you're not going to come in my chat and get mad at me because I don't want to get naked for you. Go away. If you are down with doing that and having nude tarot readings, go for it. I'm not going to judge you. It's your life. It's not going to impact me. It's totally up to you. It's your body, bodily autonomy. Do what the hell you want to do. But I'm going to give you that warning because it can feel violating. And it can be it can put a really bad taste in your mouth and make you never want to do hotlines again. And the chances, we know the mathematical chances of that happening, but that still does not disclose or lessen the impact of when it does happen to you, if it does. So I want to give you that warning. There are some people who are like that, men and women, and they will not take no for an answer. You have the option, some hotlines, to block them. You have the option to report them to the hotline. The one in particular in my brain, you can block them for 24 hours, but then they have the ability to come back unless you report it directly to the hotline, and then they will cut off access. But yeah, I want to give that warning as well, because that's something that people don't like talking about. That there can be sexual stuff like that on the hotlines, because it's, again, a vulnerability thing. Someone is messaging you, and honestly, you're cheaper than a strip club a lot of the time. Just like people will come to you for medical crises and emergencies and things like that, and you're cheaper than going to the doctor. One of the things that I remember seeing people get really upset about were pregnancy readings on the hotlines. I used to get mad about it too. But if you think about it in a different way, and again, this is if you are comfortable with doing those kinds of things. Usually hotlines will say, no, that's a medical reading. And I let them know, I'm sorry, I can't do that because it's a medical reading. If you come to me individually, it's still no, because my policy is no medical readings. But I'm not going to shame them for asking, because if you're somebody who is freaking out because you don't want to be pregnant, or you want to be pregnant, and you still have that belief that you need to wake up, like you have to wait until the next morning to have that first morning pee before you can take the test, and it's 2 a.m. and you can't fall asleep, who are you going to ask? Psychics usually will ask their cards or their pendulum or something. They might channel or meditate. For us, for people who hop on the hotlines, they're gonna ask the psychic and see if the psychic will do it for them. Can you check your pendulum and see if I'm pregnant? Or can you check your cards for me? I know that it's one of those kind of subjects that people don't like doing. So make that a part of your policy. Let people know, no readings for this, please. However, especially because I've been in that mother situation, and then I get mad at myself for why did I pull cards? I'm not supposed to pull cards for a pregnancy reading. There really is no rules for what you can pull for tarot or any system that you have. So try to see it from that perspective for those kinds of readings. Caitlin says, my problem was I got a chat on the hotline and I froze because I didn't know what to do on the chat. Do you ask them what spread they want? Do you tell them what you're going to shuffle? Do you tell them the amount of cards? One client cut off after a second card and I had more to the reading. It was frustrating. Beautiful questions. Okay. And again, personal experience. What I've learned. This is usually what I do on the readings, and you will find your own flow. I don't use a set spread. Most cards that I will pull are 3 cards. You can do it with 1 card. I have done it where I forgot that I was on the hotlines, and I went grocery shopping. And someone called me, and I didn't have my cards on me, so I was just like, the first card that pops into my head, please. And I got a card in my head, and I picked it. I've also done that where I've gotten a call, and I used a tarot app, and picked a card, and that's the card that came up. I usually don't recommend going past 3 cards. If you can do less, Cool. It teaches you, which is why I would say size of the spread doesn't matter. It's what you do with it. It always helps a whole lot more if you use less cards. It's going to confuse less. I don't go over individual cards. The method that I teach you guys for the quick start to reading tarot intuitively challenge and stuff like that, even my tarot students and maidens, I teach you quick reading, how I read. We look at body positions, we look at colors, we look at similar suits, we look at what's missing, we see what the general energy of the card is, how you're feeling. A lot of it is first glance stuff that once you have that down, you can read it in like 2 seconds, right? So I don't recommend doing a spread. I recommend 1 to 3 cards, which technically is a spread, but don't do Celtic crosses, please. It's going to take forever. What I like doing is usually my way of doing readings was having my headset in, and I'd use voice to text. And I'd tell them, I'm sorry for any typos. I'm using voice to text so I can shuffle and talk to you at the same time. Usually they're pretty good with that. They don't get mad at me for typos after that. That also explains why I use long paragraphs when I'm talking to them. But I'm also like a fast typer, so I can also do that as well and give them a lot of info. I tell them, just give me a moment. I'm shuffling right now. And they won't get mad at you, right? If they get mad at you and they cut you off, they're being impatient. Take the time that you need to shuffle. Okay. That's also something that I do. So let's say a chat pops up and I'm like, hey, good evening. Usually it's evening when I'm on. How are you today? They'll either answer me or they'll just copy paste whatever question that they have into the chat. It was only 3. Okay, then that person was impatient. Okay, so you're fine. You were doing good. They'll give their question. And I say, thanks for letting me know that. I really appreciate it. And if you want to, you can clarify the question if they've given you a lot of stuff. So say, just to clarify, you want to know X, Y, and Z. They'll give you a yes or no answer. Say, thank you so much for clarifying. Just a moment while I shuffle, end the sentence. And then before I actually shuffle, I say, while I'm shuffling, could you give me blank so I can connect more properly? Some people ask for their name, their birthday. Usually people give name and birthday automatically. If they already give it, I don't need that stuff, so I just ask them, when was the last time you talked to them? Or a question about that to kind of clarify things. Because if you give me more information about the situation, that's what helps me connect, because that's the way my clairs work. Don't give me names and stuff. You can be totally anonymous with me. Just let me know what the fuck is going on. So I ask them that question, whatever it is I need to know. So it's like, okay, when did you last talk to Bobby? Could you let me know that while I'm shuffling? And they say, sure, go ahead and shuffle. Or, yeah, I talked to them on last Tuesday. And that's while I'm shuffling. And I do quick overhand shuffle. There's no one specific way to shuffle. Whatever's fastest for you. In between readings, I will do a thorough shuffle of my cards. And I usually have some citrine sitting on top so they self-cleanse. If you're into crystals. Usually I overhand shuffle while they're talking though, and while I'm reading. I multitask. But that's just what works for me. It used to be, if I was on the computer and I had a tarot app open, I'd just shuffle on the tarot app and the cards that I need would pop up. And it would be very, very fast. But when I have an app for readings on it, like on my phone, then I won't use the tarot app because I have to flip back and forth. Unless you have like the Samsung Note or something like that where you can have 2 windows open, then you can use a tarot app and chat at the same time. I want that phone just for that reason. Unless Apple comes out with that, then I'll happily get it. But does that make sense? It's like, it's a little bit of multitasking. You get into a little bit of a flow. It's prepping a little beforehand where I do a really thorough shuffle in between. Unless I feel like the person's going to come back, then I don't touch my cards. And usually 9 times out of 10, they come right back. But does that make sense, Caitlin? That was a really wonderful question. And I want to make sure I answered all your stuff. I never ask what spread they want. because then we'll be there forever. And usually they don't know anything about cards. The most I'll give them for the cards is like, if I'm on Purple Ocean, that's one hotline I'll mention, where it's video readings, I'll mention the deck of the cards that I'm using. So I'm like, I'm using the True Black Tarot, by the way, in case you want to go look it up. Because some people like to do that. On regular chats, sometimes I'll be like, by the way, the card that I got for why I'm saying this is this one, you know? It just depends. But I don't ever ask what spread, because usually they don't know. And if they do know, it's probably because they're a reader as well, which isn't a bad thing. But then that's when your guard goes up, you know? I don't ever tell them the amount of the cards that I pull. If I feel like I need to do more, I can do more, but I really usually don't. Let's see, Caitlin said, I guess she was just impatient, but I feel like I did wrong. It sounds like you did fabulously. Which, by the way, if you ever want to practice in this group for doing readings, like hotline style readings very fast, I recommend you get on a live stream and do quick 1 to 3 card readings. That'll give you a taste of what it's like to be on a live video hotline. And that'll keep you from doing Celtic crosses or really, really big spreads. And anybody who does that in this group, because I actively welcome this, you're welcome to ask for testimonials, donations, like $5 before you get a reading, or feedback. You are welcome to ask for that. This group is fabulous for it. You don't even have to ask me permission. Just go live. Let people know that you're about to go live to do readings. And I bet it will be awesome. Jennifer says, another issue I ran into besides what Caitlin mentioned was freezing up is the people want to test my abilities. Yep. These are the people that usually for me, they pop in and they say, like, haha, you're fake because it wasn't real anyway. With these kind of people, if I'm having a hard time connecting, I consider it a lot like equal energy exchange with improv. If you don't know what improv is, improvisational acting, you see this on Saturday Night Live. Whose Line Is It Anyway? The new show with Drew Carey in Vegas. I can't remember what they called that, but they had the same people from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Improvisational acting happens on the spot. If the energy isn't good in the scene and the actors aren't working together in a really good energetic scene, you're going to notice it goes dead. There's going to be moments of silence, or it's going to feel like an awkward transition between scenes. Professional improvers usually have really good energy because they work with each other a lot. They do a lot of exercises together. I find that same kind of flow happens with a tarot reading client or any kind of hotline or business client with yours that has a great flow with you and doesn't have walls up. If it has walls up, that's when you feel awkward, when you feel like that you're messing up on the reading or you're not saying things that they want to hear. And you're asking for confirmation a lot. It's like, does this make sense? How are you feeling right now? What's going through your head? And if they question, it's like, shouldn't you know that? It's like, actually, I'm not Professor X. I can't read your mind. I read energy. So, but I can feel the energy is off right now. So how are you feeling right now? That's where customer service goes in a little bit, where you're like asking a little bit of questions. You're using critical thinking a little bit. And that takes some testing and some patience. But if you feel like they're going on there to purposely test your abilities, you have every right to turn the chat off, unless it's a hotline where it doesn't let you turn it off. Or if you feel like there's a block there, you can say, hey, I got this wall up where I'm having a hard time reading you. Is there something bothering you? Or are you feeling a little nervous, or what's going on? Asking those kind of clarifying questions sometimes will help me get the wall to come down. If they just naturally have a wall because they're nervous or something like that, I know it can make it difficult. It's a lot easier when it's in person with somebody because then you can kind of read their face. But that's when asking extra questions might help. If they really don't want to read from you, or if they feel like they just wanted to test your abilities, they'll click off. But if they're genuinely there and they just have a bit of a wall up, that'll separate those kinds of people. Let me know if that makes any sense, Jennifer. Caitlin says, "Ooh, live streams. I was going to ask if I could do some readings this week." Never have to ask me. You never have to ask me at all. Feel free to just do it. Pop on and at least let people know, hey, I'm going to go live in this amount of time to do some readings. If you're welcome to come in, I'm going to ask for donations, or I'm going to need testimonials, or whatever. Even my Reiki people and my healers, if you need shit, go for it. And I'd love for you to do it here in the group, because I will follow up and I'll make sure that you get your shit. I'll make sure. Thank you. Good info. Makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Yeah, and seriously, go for it. Because I know there's a billion groups out there that either want you to do just free readings, or they don't want you to do readings to help with your business. So go for it. I have no problem with it. Go for it. I do anyways. Makes me feel better. Common courtesy habit. Yeah. Yeah, it's just common sense and common courtesy. It's nice. We got more to do, and I only talked about the hotlines. Okay. And if you have more questions, feel free to pop them below, and I will absolutely answer. But to move on, something else where you got to kind of prepare for how clients can be. Clients can be very stingy when you are selling physical products, right? This includes drop shipping and things like that, because that's what I do for part of my business. The Crone's Magic Corner Etsy shop. I make mugs and printables and stuff like that. And I do drop ship some items on there, the runes and stuff. I can do crystals and that kinds of thing. For physical products, people can get stingy if it's not exactly like what you described, which is why a lot of physical product places like Amazon Handmade, Etsy, Shopify, places like that, they don't want you to give a promised outcome. Just like the hotlines don't want you to give a promised outcome. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. So we need to remember it's a 3rd to 5th grade reading level, 15-second attention span. If you don't have pretty pictures, the title doesn't match whatever you're doing, and the first 14 words of your description do not make sense to them or match what you're saying, or give some kind of picture in their head where they need your product, they're going to come off. That's why. Crap, I have to hop off for a meeting. This is awesome. That's okay. Have an awesome day, Jennifer. Hope you do I hope you have fun at your meeting, or try to have fun. That's what I'm trying to hurry because we have to go grocery shopping today. Physical products, you got to deal with returns, right? Or people saying they never got their stuff. This is where tracking when you send things and keeping a record still helps. Some places will automatically do this for you and send you invoices. Keep them all. Never delete them. I have a folder specifically to just keep it all. For people who have complaints about stuff, that's when customer service comes out and you're like, hey, I'm sorry that you didn't like your stuff. Is there anything that I can do to help? Let me know if you're having any issues. This is why I rarely get negative reviews on my stuff, because I always, if it was negative review, I reach out and then they shift it. I make sure my stuff, I take good pictures, or I use really good quality mock-ups to make the pictures. And I make top priority the kind of quality that I put out there. And if they have any issues with the stuff, I reach out immediately. Even I follow up and say, thank you for buying this. I want to see how it's going for you. A good portion of the members in this community, if you've grabbed something from me on Etsy, most likely the product, if it was a downloadable, I gave you an invite somewhere in that downloadable to come to the group, or I sent you a message and said, hey, by the way, if you have any questions on using your stickers or using your palmistry printables or your taro printables, feel free to come into my free group. I'm there all the time. I'm more than happy to help you out. That's where we get a lot of people in this group because they come on here. Especially now that I have the Oracle cards up on the thing. Oh yeah, especially we're starting to get people coming in, which this year I'm going to go ahead and get those printed so you guys can actually have an unboxing with those cards. It's not too different than the hotlines, except you're waiting on people to buy things from you, right? So that's when usually lifestyle photos of you using your products really helps. Um, Doing constant updates, adding new pictures, sharing it everywhere. It's a slow start, but especially sharing it on social media where you get a lot of traffic from, if it's an online shop, really helps. Reaching out to local stores will help you get more customers, and will help you get more clients if you are doing a physical product based business. You can also incorporate it into your readings or your coaching packages. You can incorporate any physical products that you create into that. You can give it as a gift, like, hey, now that you signed up for the coaching package, I'm going to send you a present. Keep an eye out for it in the mail. And maybe you send them a mug or you send them a special bag or something. If you're throwing retreats, definitely use the product that you've made. Especially because you have created it, it means even more. So you got to get creative. Sometimes it's easier to sell physical products because it's not you on the line, but especially if it has a metaphysical kind of feel to it, like malas, for example, they're really wonderful. And because they're handmade by you, that's how word spreads out. But reaching out to local shops really will make it even better. Um, Psychic fairs, it's kind of that hotlines thing, but the thing about psychic fairs, again, pick the right fair. Um, I had experiences with fairs this for the past year. Um, I had my first fair ever last year in September. It was outside. I had just found out I was having issues with my thyroid. We didn't find out about the nodule yet, but found out that my levels were high. And I was out there in the heat. It was windy. My tent kept blowing over, like literally picking up and blowing itself over. We got bees in one specific corner of the tent, like the top right corner. They refused to leave. Nobody wanted to come for a reading. Some of my very wonderful students showed up and they bought readings from me, and I love you guys so much for doing that because that seriously helped me that day. I was feeling really low. I hadn't eaten. I only had myself to set up the tent, so a lot of it was on me, but also the way that, make sure that if you're going to do a fair, the people who are building it and putting it together know how to set their stuff up. Because if you have a tent where someone needs to be paid for their readings and you put a free reading tent right next to it, who's going to get more traffic? The free reader. No one wants to pay for the reading. They want to go to the free reader, right? So make sure that if you do your fairs, especially outside, but if you do your fairs, that you're prepared for the elements. You have someone to come help you set up and get down. You, even if you try to make it as nice as you possibly can, be prepared for things to get broken, because a lot of my stuff broke. And don't be ashamed if you have to leave early if you're not feeling the vibe of the event. I know I had to for health reasons. I felt like I was going to pass out. So even after I got something to eat, I was not doing very well because the whole energy of the event just threw me off. However, that compared with an indoor event that I did, it was a crowded little metaphysical shop, but the energy was high. It was buzzing. I had my own little table that did not get knocked over in the wind. There was air conditioning. And I made $300 that weekend. First indoor fair I ever did, and it was awesome. And that was me without a card chip reader. So if you want more clients in general at fairs, try to be prepared for electronic payments. That'll make it a whole lot easier. Usually you'll get the same kind of people as hotline clients, only they won't be very nasty to your face unless they're a little bit drunk. Okay. If you to have electronic payments, try to make a QR code and have it on a piece of paper for your stuff. Then people can just open up the camera on their phone and it'll take them right to where they can pay. You can get an e-chip reader, which I have now in time for this weekend's fair because I'm going to be doing another fair this weekend. I've got the little PayPal mobile card reader, and I have the app on the phone So now I can take e-card payments, and that'll make sure that I get more people, because I lost a couple of people because they couldn't go to an ATM or something. Whereas other readers in the room could take electronic payments. Now I can take it. I'm gonna do awesome. Something that will throw you off is your prices. So, for example, that does depend on the clients and the type of area you're in. So, for example, my palm readings per person are $147 because they're at least 10 pages. I give you pictures. If it's recorded, it's still the same price because I go ahead and I show you in a video. You see me drawing the lines and I'm zooming in and I'm looking at everything. I always give more information than just what you asked. But in person, $40 is my readings. At a fair, $20. Why? Quick. And that's usually for 30 minutes. If they ask for more time, cool. I had a couple last time that I went to that indoor fair that was $40 a person that they sat down to do the reading with me. And then their daughter did a reading with me. So that was pretty good for a half-hour reading, and time flies because then people, I especially find with palm readings, or for fairs in general, if you have something really interactive and something people can look at and pick up and stuff, they will really love it. That's why people love my True Black Tarot deck, because in case you haven't seen my deck yet, because this deck is awesome, it's got the little holograms, and if I get any majors, I'll tell them you can pick up the cards if you want to and notice how they move. While they're shuffling them, they'll be like, wow, these are really thick. These are really nice cards. I'm like, I know they're really nice cards. I bring an interactive deck like that. For palmistry, I tell them, hey, you can actively track this. Watch your stress level, stuff like that. Oh shit, it is a full moon tonight. I just realized too. Thank you for telling me. I saw a new moon meme earlier and I so it's like I give them interactive things like that. So if you have something besides just cards that you want to try, you could try runes, you could try throwing bones, you could try doing all kinds of stuff. And it'll be a really cool kind of thing for your stuff. I have a handmade tarot cloth that I put on my table. People really like it because it's soft. I did it that on purpose. I have some chairs that I'm going to use this time that are really nice chairs. Last time I used some lawn chairs and they were really uncomfortable. This time I'm going to use some like more comfy kind of chairs. It's the little touches that'll bring people to your table. Okay. And if you have more health issues, like now I have more health stuff I got to worry about, stick with inside. I got an invitation from that same outdoor fair company this past week asking if I wanted to go and do that again, but it's such a far drive. I told them by the time that I would have to do that, I'd have to be driving by myself, setting up by myself, and I will be 8 months pregnant at that point. So no thank you, but I really appreciate it. My tarot cloth is a beautiful shawl my sister gave me. It's too pretty to wear. Yeah, and mine, I literally went and I got 2 different types of velvet. I got a cream colored one and a crimson one, colors of my group. And I made it reversible. So when I'm sitting there and I'm getting ready to set up my table, I'm like, okay, what kind of mood am I in today? Am I in a red mood or am I cream mood? And I'll flip it to that side, and my stuff still color coordinates along with that. So they get that kind of vibe. And usually I'm wearing my red and my cream. But the clients there, they're usually very good. Fairs, people come and expect to pay money. So there's no free minutes and stuff like that unless that is something you specifically want to do. People like courtesy like that. Make sure you have your, your business cards so they can get in contact with you. Make sure if it's hot outside, maybe offer some water. That kind of thing. Just be prepped for those kinds of things. The more that you care about them, you look them in the eye, or even if you use the workshop that I did for 5 ways to read your client's mind before they even sit down using palmistry. If you look up, that's in the the mother section here in the units tab, if you look at that workshop that I did, that'll help you for in-person readings and fairs. It's really awesome. I love it a lot. Teaching classes. Okay, so there's two different points to this. Local classes, you're not going to be paid as much as in person, as online when you first get started. Reason being is the market in which you're at. For example, last year I was teaching a meditation class. It was supposed to be themed. Every week we had a goddess and we cleared a certain chakra. 2 people out of the 7 weeks that I did it showed up. And it was a $20 class for an hour, hour and a half of us sitting there and having a really in-depth goddess chakra kind of thing. This time around, weather is warmer, okay, because we originally did that one in the winter. The weather is warmer this time around, so, and the class is $5, and I made it just a general meditation class that will be personalized to what you need. So I can still include my chakra stuff. I can still include my energy work and stuff that I'm going to start talking about here in the group. I can include my theater stuff, but I just say it's going to be personalized to what they need. So if I get people showing up that have the same kind of energy block, we will match it to that. And usually beforehand, I'll get inspiration for what to do for the workshop. So like very first one we had, I got inspired to bring some blueberries, and we needed a root chakra thing that day. So everybody had some blueberries to ground themselves, kind of a food meditation. And then we did a full close eyes meditation. Last week, everybody needed their sacral chakra fixed. So I got inspired to bring some crayons and some note cards, and everybody drew themselves, and we noticed how they emotionally felt about their bodies and if they were taking care of themselves in a really nurturing kind of way. And then we did a sit-down meditation. That class is only $5. I've made more money in that one. We had a sold out one the very first day. And it's been awesome. And even though it's only $5 this time, so I'm not making as much and I'm splitting the cost with the shop, it's still really helping. Damn it, now I want blueberries. Go do it. We're probably going to do that for the root chakra master class that I want to teach you guys. We're probably going to do a food meditation. So if you want blueberries for that class, let me know, or pop a food below if you want to do a food meditation with a certain type of food. But the thing about in-person classes, you got to have your stuff together. You have to really initiate people talking. Because there will be some people automatically you will notice that they're out. They're just not feeling it here. However, there are going to be some people who ask a lot of questions, and they're going to be really prepared, and that's what's going to keep the energy flowing. If no one shows up to the class, has happened to me over and over again, don't be discouraged. There's going to be another week. And it will be okay. Make sure that your location is always consistent. That will confuse people if the location is constantly moving. That was a problem for me. If the location kept moving, people wouldn't come. Yeah, and if you're going to do a class locally, and if it's with a metaphysical shop, expect to have some of what you would be paid taken out of that. They will split profits with you. For me, it's 50-50 right now. And that goes with retreats too. For retreats, you more have to worry about liability forms. So you need to have more legal stuff in place. You need to have your itinerary really filled out. And that's when the pressure is on to really get a lot of people in your retreats. Trying to think as well. Yeah, it's making sure that everybody's safe and accounted for. If you're doing anything physical, you need to take care of. Hang on. What the hell is this? Facebook's getting alerts. What? What the hell? Let me know if you guys are still getting me okay, and if it's been cutting in and out for you, because I'm getting weird notifications from Facebook saying the thing keeps going on and off. But just keep in mind with classes taking care of people's physical needs. I like it when it's really personalized for people, because then that really opens it up. And again, don't be surprised for local classes if it becomes like on the hotlines where it's almost like a cheaper therapy session. That's okay. Feel free to take control of the room though. Introduce yourself in the beginning and be like, hey, this is how you can expect things to go. This is usually when people get your personality. For me, people get my personality in the very beginning and the whole time. I warn them, I'm going to ask you really funky questions. And then they can look on my face and be like, you're going to ask me a funky question. Yes, I am. And if it triggers you, I'm very sorry, but I want to ask because it's going to help get this trauma up. Warning for the masterclass. For the root chakra masterclass, I'm going to ask funky questions. And they are going to matter, because having that discussion out loud, it really, really helps. When I let people know I'm in theater, I'm going to use my arms a hell of a lot. I'm going to talk in metaphors because that's how my clairs are. I warn them. I did not know this, but the last time we had the master class, the shop that I go to for readings and for the fairs and to do my classes has shop familiars. There's 2 kitty cats walking around. And the meditation circle has been so strong that they will go around, and whoever needs extra help with certain blocks, they'll leap in that person's lap. And it scared the hell out of a couple of people because I didn't know that they were going to do that. So I warn them now, if you feel a kitty on your lap, it's okay. It might jar you for your second, but focus on your breathing and it'll take you back in. Those kinds of touches, checking to see how everyone's feeling, if you're making sense with whatever you're teaching, that kind of thing, really goes a long way. And it makes such a wonderful experience. Now, if people come and they aren't engaged, or they heckle the whole time, it's just like any kind of class that you would go to. If you have a student who is not paying attention or being a kind person, you're welcome to kick them out the class. Or to say, hey, do we need to have a moment where everybody just kind of chills? If you're noticing someone's having a particularly hard time with some emotions that are coming up, because I have a habit, as I talked about in my little projector post, I notice I have a habit of saying the exact thing that either makes somebody laugh really hard or bawl because their traumas are coming up and it triggers. So I like to mention to everybody, if that happens, this is a safe space. You can literally tell me anything and I have no judgment zone. I have no problem with it. I will just absorb and we will help you transfer it. Even if you're joking, I'm like, I don't take jokes. It takes me 15 minutes to realize, oh shit, you were joking, because I'm like such a sponge. So if you have something, just honestly tell me and we will go on and work it all out. The non-judgment space. And usually it flows really wonderful from there. You're going to have your own kind of method to way that you like to teach if you decide to do classes. Just keep that in mind, okay? And same thing for online coaching, one-on-one packages, stuff like that. You're going to feel like you're hunting for people a lot. It's going to feel really annoying. However, just like if it's an in-person class, how you ask people what they need, if you do that online too, no matter what space you're in, people will tell you what they need. If they like your idea, or if they're like, I don't like that price for what this offer is, this price would be better. And if you're getting a really majority vote on something that needs to be shifted or a problem they're really having, talk about that and boom, it goes up. That's how the energy flows, right? And how things get a little bit better. Now, the one last thing I want to talk about here, no matter what you're selling, I want to kind of give you a look into how it's been for me when it comes to running a business, and how you are really a one woman, one man, one person show when it comes to running a business. Especially with toxic clients. You're your own bodyguard. You are the CEO. You can tell people to leave. But I understand there's this kind of dependency, not just on people depending on coaches, but on coaches depending on their clients to show up and do the work. It feels invalidating if someone doesn't show up and do the work. If they've paid for something and they haven't done it, right? Or they haven't used it. It makes you feel like shit because then you're wondering, what did I do wrong? What about what I made is not working, right? Especially if consistently there's an issue coming up. So if people aren't showing up for your program that you've made a live program for, if you create an in-person class and nobody comes, or if you're sitting on the hotlines for hours and nobody has shown up and you're wondering what is wrong with me, why won't people come to me, it can really jar your personal confidence. It can really screw you up and you wonder, is this even good for you anymore? And what we all want, I know, is consistent income, right? We all want things to flow in a really wonderful way. That way we don't have to worry about where'd my bag go? There it is. About working a 9 to 5 anymore, or anything like that that doesn't feel in alignment. But just because we feel in alignment with a program or something doesn't mean that 100% of the time it's free of blocks, right? Or it's free of problems and it doesn't need to be shifted. And that, I feel like, is the hardest part of working with clients, especially when they know how much you depend on them. Because that energy, not in the kind of sense of like, especially people who might have been with you for a long time and they know that you've been busting your buns and they've really wanted to work with you. At least in my personal experience, because I put so much of myself out there, I know I'm especially susceptible to it. There are some people who have that wall up, who are like, I'm not going to let my professional life and my personal life mix. And I used to be like that. However, I found when I was like that, it didn't feel as good, because then it felt like there was no justification for people understanding in such an authentic environment. The spiritual business is so revealing that if you aren't honest about how you are and what your abilities are, it can be a client repeller in and of itself. That can make a 1-star review feel like the worst thing in the world and you never bounce back from it, right? So over time, it will get better. Your dependency will become less. However, I want, when you think about clients, and if you have people who have said, yeah, I'm going to buy from you, and then they never pay their stuff on time, or they don't pay you at all, and they just disappear off the face of the freaking planet. Following up with people can be so hard because we don't want to be pushy, right? We don't want to. I personally stopped working in that kind of business environment because I was tired of telling people I cannot help you. However, it impacts how much money you make. And it makes you feel selfish and egotistical by thinking about it in that kind of context. But if this were any other job, and someone were to ask you to stay overtime and not get paid for it, or if someone were to ask you to do something outside your job description, you'd be pretty pissed about it, right? But when you become your own business owner, it's like, sure, yeah, okay. Especially in the beginning, and you're like, I just need to pay my bills, right? So I just want to kind of I want to be transparent about some numbers, again, to kind of ground it in reality. Because in the very beginning, we talked about how I used to make $10 an hour. And handy dandy calculator, $10 an hour, 40 hours a week, $400 a month, I'd make $1,600, right? Which a year, that would be $19,200 for what I used to work. Now that the minimum wage here is higher, there's that. But that's what I used to make, right? When I first started my business, first year, I made, well, not even the first year. In 2017, I had an average of, well, 2017 and 2018, I had an average of $997 a month that I made. That's about $17,000 a year, which was really, really good, right? That's pretty good for a business that finally started getting serious only in 2016. But $996 a month, if my expenses alone, rent alone, is now almost $1,200. Like at that time, that barely covered my rent, right? Because my rent has steadily increased over time. So there was that extra pressure there, right? That's when I had to be on cash assistance, and that's when I had to be on food stamps and stuff. And again, not guilt tripping, but I'm giving you a realistic look at how it has been for me, for my business, because I feel like then you can understand why sometimes it seems like somebody is popping up in your feed. I haven't been doing this because I haven't been advertising anything. I haven't been creating anything. But sometimes you'll see one person popping up constantly and no one's answering them, but they're still showing up and they're still asking people to buy things, or they're still asking questions and stuff. And you're like, why don't you stop? Or they keep showing up in your inbox asking you, hey, are you still interested in this? Or do you still want to work with me? Or it feels like you're at the mall and there's the kiosks in the middle and people are like, hey, do you want to try my straightener? Or would you like to try some lotion? Or do you want to buy a watch? And you feel like you have to not look at them or acknowledge them, so they'll just leave you alone. This is giving you the business owner's perspective, like some business owners' perspectives. Some people are making a hell of a lot more than me. Within their first year, they were making 6 figures. Awesome. I've gotten people to that point. I've gotten my students to that point. Me, however, I haven't gotten myself to that point yet, which is funky. It's easier giving advice than taking your own advice. But if last year I made an average about $996 a month, this year so far, as of March, I was making almost $2,000 a month. And I straight up went on my reports, because you have to do your own taxes and stuff too. You have to pay attention to your bills of accounts. I looked at my income. And you can tell where the problem spots are. So for example, January, I made, not including expenses, with including expenses, you can expect it to have dropped almost completely. January, I made $3,339.06. Pretty good compared to December, right? February, when shit hit the fan and things went downhill and I started losing a lot of people and I had to do refunds and stuff like I talked about last time, it went to $1,051.19. It dropped, right? March, I started coming back, right? I had my first 1,000K week. I made $3,866.95. I'm noticing a lot of repeating numbers here. But it bounced back up. I lost a lot of people, but I was able to make it right back up, right? And I had my first $1,000 weekend, which was fabulous. It made me feel amazing. Like, I can totally do this. Last month, it increased a little bit. No, not last month. I'm sorry. April, it increased a little more. Went to $4,446.88. All the repeating numbers for that month. It went up. But ever since even more shiz has happened and things dropped even more, repeating numbers. Freaking, I've been live for 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 55 seconds. Last month, there was 1 week. I only made $100 that week. And I can let you know honestly, a lot of my bills have not been paid. Because I didn't even make enough for rent last month. I made $1,100 and $122.11. 112211. So, hence why this past month why all throughout May I'm like, I'm just gonna tell you honestly how I'm feeling, because I'm not doing very good, guys. Because things dipped. Wasn't on the hotlines at all throughout from January to end of May. I wasn't on at all. I was just relying on coaching clients, but because things dipped and that dependency was there, I'm like, okay, people are going to be consistent with me. Things dipped. That happens. So realistically, oh, my neck is getting red. Realistically, when we're talking about clients and even people getting referred to you and things like that, sometimes they're going to disappear off the face of the planet when they're supposed to be paying you, right? And then you have to fire clients, or you have to be that annoying person that you hate receiving, and it makes you feel guilty for for them popping in your inbox and being like, I haven't gotten any money, I haven't received anything. I want to make sure you're okay. And it makes you feel like shit, so you avoid them. The exact same thing happens, only you're on the coach's end or you're on the reader's end when someone has not paid you for services. And you don't want to be that pushy person, because remember, we're spiritual, we're love and light, but it's not so love and light. Haha, roll credits. When you have to chase people down, right? And then you get into the issues of like, if it gets to a certain amount, do you have to sue somebody? Do you have to, like, what kind of action do you have to take? And that's when it gets into the nasty part of doing stuff with clients that you're like, is it worth it right now? And that's when you hit a low point. So it's like, that's why I like to say that people who own businesses, especially who want to be psychics for a living or do anything in the spiritual niche, they're a little bit crazy. We're all a little bit crazy, because who wants to submit themselves to not having reoccurring income like that, However, it's not something that when there's no other option and you love what you do and there's really nothing else out there for you, it's a no-brainer, but it does mess with you on the emotional side if you're not meeting your needs. You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest thing today, because we talked about tips for hotlines and physical products and coaching programs and stuff like that on dealing with clients. Today, I would just say, if you get realistic with yourself about the kind of money that you do need for your business, or the kind of people that you need to work with, and the kind of program or class or reading that you want to put out there, one, make sure you love it, okay? Because if you don't love it, it's going to be a whole lot harder to sell it because you're not 1,000% behind it. But also that even if people leave, if you're getting a hard time with reviews, or you're getting a hard time with people trying to test your abilities, or no one is showing up for your classes or buying from you, or people will say they buy from you and then they disappear off the planet, whatever it is, that does not demean the value of what you have. That does not demean the value of the kind of person that you are, or the kind of creator that you are. And even if the physical numbers aren't there yet, like because I know some people that are trying to run their businesses in any sense have issues where the money is not meeting their needs. They aren't making enough to pay you their bills or to do things. I know that you will get there once the right people start coming to you. Because when you get in that flow and you're getting the right people coming to you for the right reason, and it's just moving all through, it makes it's like electricity. It's a flow of having endless stoplights, um, like of having endless green lights on your way home, and having like a mini orgasm when you eat some dessert. Or feeling like your body is strong and that you're actually loving the skin you're in for the first time in a while. When you get that kind of validation of yes, you are doing awesome in the way of receiving clients, the right clients, it makes it so much more worth it. So don't get discouraged if you aren't getting the right kind of people for you. I've been there, obviously. But even if I were to add all of that up, like how I was talking about last year in total, I made maybe 17K that last year for my business. I've made almost 14K just between January and May this year, adding it all up. And I'm like, okay, it feels like I'm doing shit because there's such a dependency on my clients. However, because I've done the math and because I'm noticing how I have grown, I know that every year it's going to get better. And the more that I follow myself and I show up just as I am, which I feel like is just the biggest lesson here, if you just show up as you are, whether you're doing readings or selling physical things or whatever it is, that's what's going to help even more. That's what's going to help you get to that comfortable place for yourself. You don't have to have them, even if your goal is not to have a mansion with a giant yard and living in Bali and all that kind of stuff, which cool, if that is your vision, you can totally do it. But I feel like that key to success when it comes to getting the clients that you need, or even that secret sauce that it seems like all the other really successful business owners have, it just showing up as you are, which I've heard a billion times, but when you actually show up and just be authentic, even if you're not showing up feeling the prettiest or feeling the happiest, and you just do it, that does help because it reminds people that you are human, and that's when you're really your soul clients come out. Those people who will buy from you over and over and over again because they love your energy and they see the value in what you create, if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. And then I gotta hop off soon because I've been talking much longer than I wanted to. Hi, Susan. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Tracy. Ooh. Let me fix my headband. Okay, I got a heart. I'm assuming that makes sense. And even some things that I've been thinking about when it comes to content and what to provide to you guys. Like the other day, in case you didn't see, I did put up a post in the groups asking everybody, because I've been feeling like there needs to be an energy sweep, kind of like a reset. And I'm loving the way that my local classes are doing, like the meditation circle classes are going through some of the trauma that they're doing with the different chakras. I feel like a lot of people in here would really benefit from doing like a root chakra masterclass for one day, like 3 hours. We'll sit down, maybe a little longer from how much I talk. We sit down, everybody chat with each other about traumas. Like we identify the kind of traumas that have blocked up your root, we clear them out, and I teach you how to maintain it. So it's almost like a very educative meditation class. I figured it'd be like $27, because it's for 3 hours or more, and you'll get a bunch of stuff that's been gathering virtual dust in my vault. Like I have some tarot spreads, and I've got my chakra pendulum boards and all kinds of stuff that I can give you guys that are printables, and workbooks and all kinds of awesome junk. I've got a chakra meditation I can give you guys that I feel like would be really, really beneficial. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know, because the more people that are interested in it, the more I'll actually do it. Because I'm even thinking of doing something with energy work, like completely revamping energy work for the winter semester of the academy, because half of me is tempted to not do the winter semester, but I want to stick with it for at least a year. Do our summer and do our winter semester. And I have a really good idea for, I feel like if we base it all off of energy work, along with any other surprises that I want to give you guys, I feel like it would be really, really good. Not just for realigning you and your energy and the things that you've been going through and just giving us a really good clean slate for 2020, but also for me, for getting energy back on track. So if you are interested in that, you can let me know in the comments. Which once I get more details anyway, Caitlin, I'm going to message you, because I need to talk to you about that kind of stuff once I get details for that. Because we have some things in the works. We have the Garden of the Goddesses retreat happening in September. We've got all kinds of stuff going on, but I feel like a major energy cleanse is needed right now in the way that I like to do things. The other thing that I'm also tempted to do, again, finding the things that work for you and for me, I miss my theater stuff, and I've gotten a lot of requests for doing classes on, because a lot of my maidens especially know this, on how I incorporate theater into teaching them tarot. However, there's a lot of ways that I do magic using stage makeup and costuming, because we did the Costume Your Cards workshop for tarot, but teaching you guys set design and lighting and how to make being a psychic fun, and just making your spiritual business fun. That's how come I changed the group today a little bit, for like, I want to use theater and my energy work more. So if you would like me to do some trainings that include my theater stuff, because I have so much shit I have not made because I thought no one would want it, but I'm getting requests for it. So if you guys want me to do stuff with my theater stuff, especially the stage makeup tutorial, I'll sit here and I'll show you, because I know that's a big thing of showing up as you are for psychics, where they have a hard time showing up because they don't know how to do their makeup. And I never wear makeup except for maybe a little lipstick, but I know how to do it because I had to learn how to do it for shows. So I can teach you how, and show you different effects and color magic and stuff that you can use makeup for if you're interested in that. So let me know if you'd be down with that. I love stage makeup. And even stuff like how I said earlier in this live, how I made my tarot cloth and stuff. I made my wedding dress, if you guys are friends with me on here. Pictures of my wedding, me with the long red dress with the long sleeves. I made that for my wedding. I can teach you guys how to do that. We can do a special like sewing not magic class if you want it. I can teach you how to do it with costumes. So let me know. This is my bread and butter and the stuff that I really miss. So just let me know. I do gotta hop off, so I hope everybody has an awesome day. Let me know if this is stuff that you'd be interested in. And I hope that you've really liked the live today. and I'll talk to you guys soon for another episode. Bye.